Hello, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Lauri, and with Cynthia, we're going to discuss how, like, the questions that Debbie put out. And the first one is, do you start with a vision and gather materials to bring to life, or do the materials themselves inspire what you create? Okay, for me, for this particular exhibit, I didn't have a vision. I think I went through all the materials that I had, and then I said, oh, let me use this, and I picked out each thing, and then the vision that I wanted to do came about, depending on the materials that I chose. And that's how I went about to create the two pieces which are in the exhibit. And I don't know if you want, Cynthia, you want to take that question first and then we can answer the second one?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. That sounds good. I think for me, it's absolutely not black and white. It's not either or. I mean, in some ways, I've been a collector my whole life, so I have like drawers and boxes of things everywhere. And I think a lot of the time I am led by the materials. I'll just be looking through my boxes because I want to create something and something speaks to me. And then I start building from there. And in some ways, the greater mess I have on my table, the better, because then things inform themselves like, oh, that wants to go there and that wants to go there. But that sometimes I do have a vision because I'm wanting to apply to a specific show or an open call for artists, and they specifically have, a theme or something like that. And then that'll inform, as I'm rummaging through my boxes, the kinds of things I'm looking for. But it's still the materials that speak more than the vision usually.
Okay, you're right, Cynthia.
Yeah.
We collect so many things. I think I mentioned this to Debbie when we spoke about this about a month ago, and we collect so much stuff, and then we don't have room for it. But we always say, "Oh, I'm going to save this. Oh, this is good. Oh, I don't know. I'll use it." But I'm going to save it. But it keeps piling up, right?
Yeah, it does
a whole
indeed.
collection of stuff.
It does indeed.
Yes, so it's fun. I think using things that are already out there, making recyclable art. It actually, I think, maybe with all the artists that are present, it challenges you, and it makes you more creative. And what can you do with things that a lot of people probably dispose of, but you create a piece of art.
Yeah. And that's part of what I love, is bringing people in and being curious, like, what is that made of? And I've made it look into something different. And that's just really fun. And also that people can take the time to see that beauty can be anywhere, and can be remade into something beautiful, something that you might have thrown out.
Very true. Yeah. Very, very true.
Yeah.
So, anything else you want to comment, Cynthia, about this question? Or
I'm sure we could talk for hours and hours, but I am curious about your story. Do you have a story for your best found object?
Let me see. I collect so many things, and one particular, I don't know. It's that actually, when I read that question, I said, this is a good question, because everything I've been collecting, for me, it's like, ooh, great, But I have to say, maybe for this particular exhibit, I used picture frames. Mm-hmm. And I was curious because I think it was Lisa that mentioned to me she thought they were mirrors. But no, they were these beautiful picture frames that they were throwing them out. And I said, oh, this really looks cool. And the design on the frame, it's like carved in even though it's metal, but it reminded me, because I'm a sculptor also, and it's very sculptural. So I could say that those picture frames really, I said, this is one of my best pieces, because the other stuff it can be anything, but the picture frames were very, I would say that was my best find.
They really inspired you, it sounds like.
It inspired me,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah. Cool. Well, the thing that popped into my mind is a funny story where it was years and years ago. I was driving my son to camp one summer, and we got off the highway. We were on some back road, and I noticed off the side of the road that there was this great, like it was a big piece of metal, rusty metal. But I was driving kind of, we had to get there, so I couldn't stop. And then I forgot on my way home. I got home and I was so upset because I really had wanted to go check it out. But the good story is that when I went to pick up my son at camp, like I don't know how many weeks later, it was still there. And I stopped, and it was this great large piece of metal from the bottom of a car, I think, and it was like all lacy. It was so rusted out, and it was really beautiful. And I don't have it anymore. I made it into something, and I don't like what are those things called? A mobile. And,
Cool.
But I don't know. It was so many years ago. I don't know where it is, but it was a great find.
Oh, good. You can always find anything. You're walking on the street, or like you said, you're driving, and all of a sudden you see something. Ooh, I'm going to stop by and pick that up, and put it in my car. Because you always, even though at the moment you don't know what you're going to create, but by seeing that piece, you already had I can make something out of this.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I also go to a lot of antique stores and flea markets, and because I love finding like old objects that maybe aren't being thrown out, they're being resold.
Right,
but,
right.
Are just really interesting looking. Yeah.
That's excellent. I'm sitting here thinking, I know exactly what that feels like, and I'm sure all the artists in the room know exactly what that feels like. You guys have a little bit more time. Is there something you want to share about the pieces that you have in the show?
Well, I guess I could say if there's anybody who's been to the show and wondered, I guess actually in my little tag, it does say that both of my pieces were made out of an old cigar mold, which I didn't know what it was before I found it in the antique store. But it's two pieces of both sides of a cigar mold, and that's what just started the inspiration.
That was a very interesting piece until I really looked at it. Like you said, you never know. It's until you really look at the pieces, you say, "Oh, what is this?" And then, because in the beginning, when you see it, you don't think of a cigar until you really look close at it.
Yeah.
You say, "Oh my goodness! It's what they used. It was to make a cigars, right? That's
a mold.
It was a mold, right?
Mold.
Yeah, it was very interesting pieces. Very, very good. Yes, definitely.
Really fun.
Elizabeth and Cynthia, you have a question. The person wants to know, Christina wants to know, what do you call this type of art? Collage or multimedia? How do you describe what you do?
I've always called it, I say assemblage, but it's assemblage, so it's 3D. So it's like assembling with all these different disparate parts. Yeah, but assemblage is what I call it. What about you?
I could go, or it can be, I guess, both. Like a collage actually also is different things that you put together.
Yeah.
Okay. When you assemble things, I guess because it's more 3D, and when they think of collage, it's really like paper, like it's more two-dimensional. Assembling it makes it look more three-dimensional, more sculptural, So, but collage, I think it's just the type of material. Collage is usually paper or, granted, they use collage, you can use anything. But I think the first thing that will come in people's mind is like when you assemble things, it's things already made and it makes it look 3D. With collage, by putting all these different papers or objects that you find, you can make it look 3D. Even though they're flat pieces, let's say two-dimensional, you make it look three-dimensional. So I guess for me, it's the type of material. It can be collage or assembled.
Well, and it's interesting that because I think that's true, the way that you really can make collage be somewhat three-dimensional sometimes, but collage comes from the French word. I mean, it's probably a Latin word, but French word and coller means to glue together. And I know that in assemblage, I've gone beyond glue, because sometimes I'm putting together wood and metal, and I've had to learn how to assemble those kinds of things together. Yeah, and that glue, when I was just using glue, that wouldn't have worked.
Plus, if you're using metal, Cynthia, you probably you weld. You do some
Yeah,
welding on it,
or solder. Yeah.
or solder. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much. We really got a good feeling for how you guys think and what's important. The next speakers we have are Ralph and Tanya.
I'm here. Go ahead, Ralph. Take it away.
Go ahead, Tanya.
Well, I'm Tanya, and I am an artist who uses a lot of cardboard, And I always say one man or woman's trash is another man or woman's treasure. And I take everything and anything from cardboard to plastic to fabric to everything to try and make create an original work of art. And one of the things that it's hard to say whether the inspiration comes from, I might sketch out something and then all of a sudden I say, okay, well, I'm driving along like the other ladies, you're driving along and you see a lot of different things on the street. One place that I've always gone to is a frame shop, and they discard the frames that are either no longer in style or they just can't use, and they put them out to the curb. And one man's trash is this woman's treasure. So I always try and go to, even if you see things on the street, it always just hits me. And I can, I said, okay, well, I can use this, I can use that. And even if it's not exactly what I need, I can create something and go around that. So I'm taking plastic from the supermarkets and all of that and cleaning it up, and that's my I can use it.
And Ralph, do you find that you get an idea first, or do you pick the materials first?
No. It's strictly materials. I don't have an idea first. And my primary source is, I've always been an inveterate saver of all things. I mean, I have my children's toys. When they were young, I built the toy box, and I saved it. So over the years, I said someday I'm going to retire and be an assemblage artist. And I retired 17 years ago. And actually, the large piece that it was in this exhibit was my first effort at assemblage. And it seemed to be well received over there. And Lisa saw it and she loved it. And she said, oh, that has to be in the exhibit. So
it has toys. It has little kids' toys in it. It's a great
piece. Yeah. So, but I mean, it was mentioned before that somebody has a bureau full of materials. Well, I had so many materials. I went out and I bought a sort of a credenza, and it fits 8 milk cartons, and each one is full of 10 or 12 different materials. It could be marbles, it could be Lego, it could be feathers, it could be felt, I mean, you name it. And it's, I probably have it. And so, again, I'll just go to my materials and maybe dump them out and say, okay, what do these materials want to be? But I mentioned yard sales as one of my primary, places to find good materials. And I know I have a story about a yard sale I stopped at in Nyack a few years ago, and then I came home with toy soldiers, with a little, animal figurines, and right from that one yard sale, I put together an assemblage. So that was a real find, I thought. But again, most of my inspiration comes from just the materials that I have and that, I continue to acquire, to my wife's chagrin.
I think that that's one of the things that we all have in common, is that we tend to, as artists, just see things and we want them, whether it's at a yard sale, whether we're going to a flea market, or even, places like retake, remake, and all that kind of thing, that we like stuff. And much to everybody's chagrin, we could have a meetup and just bring a box and we could say, okay, well, let's see what we're going to do. And everybody would have something in that box that would be, ideal for them, or a treasure to them,
No
So
question.
I agree with that.
No question.
Yeah. One of the things that I'll take this one. One of the things that you asked is, what is your most treasured find, or anything like that? Well, one of my most treasured finds is the people that I have around me. And every time they come into something that they see, because they know I'm a recycle artist, something that they see, oh, Tanya could use this. I mean, I've gotten all kinds of, from cardboard to lampshades to you name it, and it's being, brought to me. And I don't see it as a hindrance or trash or anything like that. And, people bring me fabric. I've gotten different types of plastic, jewelry, and all of that. So I think my most treasured find is the people that are uplifting me to do what I do. And they appreciate, and I think they like what I do, because, they come to my exhibits and all that. But, and family and friends, and that's the biggest treasure that I've found for me.
There is a question from the audience for Ralph and Tanya. Christina, who is asking excellent questions, I have to say. And if she'd like to host one of our future events, please email me, Christina. What famous assemblage artist has served as inspiration for you? Is it Joseph Cornell?
I would have to say the person for me I just met recently, and I met the Button Man, and he was up in Waterbury. And for me, his exhibit of a million buttons or so was outstanding. So that's the only, in my eyes, famous person that I've met is the Button Man. His name is Bo McCall.
Okay, the person that I remember is Picasso, and he did a famous figure using a toy truck as part of the face, and that's what inspired my mask. That's the orange mask that's part of this current exhibit, where I use wagon wheels for the eyes and actually a little toy for the face, the nose, and the mouth, and a zipper for the mouth. But yes, Picasso was my first inspiration, and not that I'm comparing myself to him, but it was. It continues to be an inspiration to me, and the other thing I wanted to mention with respect to materials was everyone has a cigar box or a shoebox full of pens and pencils, and so I took mine out and I said, what can I do with these? And the result is the third piece, which is in the current exhibit, And so I put these pens and pencils together on a big piece of plywood, and I got 3/4 of the way across, and I didn't have any more. So I called my son. He says, "Of course I have a shoebox full of pens and pencils." And then my neighbor said, "Ralph, what are you working on?" And I said, "Oh, I'm working on an assemblage with pens and pencils." And she said, "Oh, I have a cigar box full of those." So, as you say, the word goes out. Friends and family become part and parcel of what we do.
So Sandra in the audience is asking who created Don't Forget to Write. And Sandra, it is Ralph Olsen right here. And I just want to put in a little tidbit of my own that, first of all, when I went to see Ralph's studio, it is really a hoarder's paradise. It's incredible. And when people see Don't Forget to Write, the largest comments that I have received is that it reminds people of their childhood, of those pencil boxes that we had as kids with not just pencils in it, but erasers and markers and bits and pieces of things that we wanted to keep a hold of. So Don't Forget to Write people are finding it very nostalgic, Ralph.
Well, part of the challenge I find when I complete a piece, I said, what should this piece be entitled? And very seldom do I say like an untitled piece, but with the mask, I gave it a silly woman's name, and with the Don't Forget to Write, I thought that was a perfect name, and it's very very striking to many people, and they have commented to that effect.
It is. It's very wonderful. Yes, and Tanya, I want to find the frame store, and Ralph, I want to know where that flea market was, where that house sale was. I'm in. And so now we're gonna let Peter talk for a little bit, and then we're gonna do Sheila and Erwin. So Peter, my friend, your questions are. Tell us, do you find materials first and then ideas, or ideas and then materials?
Can you hear me, first of all?
Yes, you're good.
I don't have, it's not a yes or no on that. It's or either or both. It varies wildly. And I do so many different kinds of things that it's sometimes like everyone else here, apparently, I'll be driving down the road and see something that just has to come home with me. And it then eventually becomes a piece of artwork or gets taken apart and shuffled away. And then years later becomes a piece of something, or it varies. And I've pretty much always found pieces, just stuff I find out in nature, rocks, sticks, twigs, branches, and I am somewhat of a hoarder, but I've gotten better about that. I have so much stuff, but it varies from piece to piece what I do. If it's the materials that inspire the work, or the work that makes me go looking for, a big dead tree somewhere. And what was the other thing you wanted to ask?
So the other thing is, I wanted your best found object story. It could be something you found somewhere, something you put together.
I think you probably saw in our living room, we have a huge painting of the Cheshire Cat from the Alice in Wonderland stories. That was 10 years ago? At least 10 years ago. Oh, here's Magoo. Magoo helps sometimes. I was walking along the Hudson River years ago, and there was this huge piece of plywood washed up on the rocks that was totally waterlogged, and
it's Dinwally.
Hello? Am I still there?
You're good. You're good.
Okay.
If everybody else could go on mute, that would be perfect.
Okay, something just happened. So I got this big piece of plywood that when I took a closer look at it, turned out to be the transom of a boat, sailboat or motorboat, probably a sailboat of some kind. And it's about 6 feet wide by 4 feet high. It's got a piece of aluminum trim along the top of it. And I dragged it out of the river, and it was waterlogged, super heavy, but it was just such a cool shape and such beautiful distressed paint patina on it from years of having become driftwood after having been part of a boat that probably sank or got broken up. I just had to bring it home. So I carried it maybe a mile down the river on the road by Nyack Beach and got it to my car. And I don't know if they used them anymore, but in old plywood manufacturing, if there was a defect in the surface of the wood, they would replace the knot or the crack or the hole with a little piece that was kind of shaped like a cat's eye, and they called Dutchman repairs or something like that. And I had this piece of wood, until it dried out and I could work on it. And it had these 2 repairs that were in the shapes of cat's eyes, and I just started drawing on it. And then it just turned into this giant painting of a cat, which it just had to be what it turned out to be. I had no knowledge of that going in, but it's one of my favorite pieces that I've ever made. And I don't have a pickup truck anymore, and it used to be a lot worse for everyone when I did have a pickup truck, because it was easier to pick up larger and dirtier things. And now that I have a station wagon, I have to be a little more discreet about what I decide to pick up and put in the car. Dogs and stuff.
That's perfect.
But what else would you know about?
Those were the 2 questions. If you want to talk a little bit, because we have some time, about the pieces you have, maybe the mobile that's in the gallery.
Sure. The mobile that's in there is the cardboard itself that those pieces are cut from was all sourced from a box factory up in Sloatsburg. And those pieces, they were all huge sheets of plywood, sheets of cardboard that for one reason or another were not able to be used in the manufacturing process because there were defects in them. And they were just going to go into the recycling or into the dumpster. And I knew a guy who worked up there, and the piece that you see in the gallery there is a very small part of a much larger piece that filled the Nyack Center for one of the galas they had there some years ago in honor of Bert Hughes, the man who ran the Nyack High School music department for years. And I forget where I sourced the wire. I might have actually bought some of the wire that I used in that, but some of the wire that I used is stuff that I have, and I have several spools of this stuff left over from when I was a kid. My father built stone retaining walls, and you've probably seen them on riverbanks or and culvert pipe embankments. And there are these stone walls that are in these big metal cages, these big wire cages.
Excellent. That is good. Lisa, any questions?
Guys, and I have several spools of this heavy galvanized wire that I've had since the 1970s. And the wings that you see there are actually a second piece inspired by the original piece, which was made of cedar shake shingles that I fished out of a dumpster somewhere, and some plywood. And I had made a copy of the Winged Victory of Samothrace, which is at the Louvre Museum, which is too big to be stolen, so it's going to stay where it is. And I forget why I painted it, but
it needed paint, obviously.
It needed paint,
and
I guess.
And it looks wonderful. And if you go to the gallery, standing in front of it and taking a selfie is perfect. It's just the perfect place to start as you check out all the other artwork. All right.
Something just popped up on my screen. Okay.
You're good.
Okay. Anything else?
No, we're good for tonight. Any questions, Lise? Or are we
No, I don't see any. Oh, wait a minute. I apologize.
Christina again.
She's good though. Do you really? She writes, I once photographed some coiled barbed wire with marshmallows on a steel sheet. Is that an assemblage, Peter? I just call it still life. I love artists.
It could be a found object assemblage. Were these marshmallows being toasted?
There's no mention of heat or fire.
That I can't answer that, but I'll say yes.
And it makes me hungry, so that's perfect. It would be fun to see that photograph. All right, next we have Sheila and Erwin.
All right, I'm gonna mute myself here. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think Sheila's on mute still. Oh, well, I can start while she works on that. Hi everyone, my name is Erwin Ong. I'm an artist based in White Plains, and I do a lot of. I'm inspired by nature and a lot of fish and animals that live underwater. And to answer the question that everyone's we've all been asked, that really drives any of the work and all of the work that I do. It's very fish first. I call it fish forward. So really anything that I make is based on that. Most of my work is in illustration. I do some murals, but for the show, I did two salmon to sort of. I guess it's a collage, could be assemblage. I'm not sure. But cardboard that was carved and cut into salmon. So if you saw those in the show, I have a sort of a wooden version here in case you didn't see it in the show. So it sort of looks like this in a frame. And that is, so that's how I start most of my work, including the ones in the show. So I had those drawings of those salmon already. And I had some cardboard that was left over. I actually made these during lockdown when a lot of people were getting packages delivered to their house, and I had a whole lot of cardboard that would normally just go into the recycling bin, and a lot of it did. But the part of me was like, I really want to do something with this. This is an opportunity to translate things that I would normally just draw on paper into something else. And so that's how these came about.
And Sheila.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, everyone.
It's good to see you. So
it's good to see you too, Debbie.
So do you come up with an idea first and then find your material, or do you find your material first and then
like Tanya says, I'm the bottle cap lady. So now I get bags of beer tops like on a daily basis now, basically. So I get inspired by the shape and also just by pastries, the color, who I'm gonna make it for. Like I try to do like children, or it depends on like a female, a male. If it's for someone's kitchen. My little cakes are for all ages, from birth till maybe saying goodbye. Just say it lightly, but they're for everybody. So yeah, I'm just inspired by them. Period. I love my little cakes. I think there's adorable. There's love in them, and every last one of them you can actually, they look like you could eat them, but they're not. So I just love that I can just do the detail on that's inspirational to maybe for people to eat them. I don't know. I don't want them to really eat them, but just to get your imagination if they were real. Because they're so little, they're so tiny. They're like in between a nickel and maybe a quarter, maybe. But they're just very adorable. They're really, really sweet. I love they're like my little babies.
Sheila, you have a question. Someone
Sure.
wants to know, do you ever sell the cakes and pies individually? And
Yes, I do.
And do you ever sell them as magnets?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Okay. I recommend, if anyone wants to know, email the gallery and I'll send you the information. Just email rockefellergallery@gmail.com. I'll put it in the chat.
Very good.
And I'm kind of curious, what makes a pie or a cake a male pie or a cake, or a female pie and a cake?
I always constantly look for little things that's properly scaled. Just like I found this little cute little doll, and it goes perfectly with her little carton now with little cakes that I got sliced up. And I just love the little scale. It's like little stories. So that's what makes the inspiration. It's like a little story thing. I don't, like Lisa asked me before, what makes me so interested in miniatures? I don't know what it is. I just think that it's the detail of how things are large and how long it takes, and then you can actually take the same amount of time of doing something as small as a large one. Actually, it's very interesting, and I just love the scale of things. So miniatures is what's happening.
You absolutely.
Listen, we're all eventually going to be there, and the way things are going, we're going to all be living miniatures shortly. So these are perfect, actually.
You absolutely. The detail is spectacular. Okay, Erwin, what's your best found object story?
I actually don't. I don't want to be sort of the boring person here, but I don't really try to look for things, mostly because I don't have any space in my house to sort of bring in things from outside. So what I try to do for my practice is to work with the things I find in my house. So things that would normally go to the trash, really around paper, those are the things that I sort of work with. And a part of that, I think, is a challenge for me to think about sort of accessibility in my work, and making work that I think that if someone else saw it, that they think that they could make it themselves as well. And sort of like empowering the viewer to be like, oh, I could do this too, but not in like that sort of condescending way where you're like, oh, I could have made this,
right.
But more like, oh, wow, like I can make this with things I have at home. Why not, right? So that's where sort of I source my materials for these kinds of sculptures.
I think that's inspirational. I think letting other people look at things just a little bit differently from things that they have in their own house or in their own, in my case, backyard, you can make art, which is what it's all about. So Sheila, do you have a favorite pie that you've made?
I tell you, all my pies are my favorite because I look back and I see some and I thought, oh, I like that one, but I like that one, I like that one. I like them all. I have no favorite. I think that, because you asked me another question about male and female. I think that I just wanted to answer that because I'm like, I didn't even answer that question. But I use like little miniature things. I have like these little miniature ducks, like little tiny ducks, and I would put that on maybe a little boy's cake. And then maybe a little girl's cake, I'll put a little princess crown. You can just make them really, really cute. And I can just get really carried away myself because I just look for little tiny things and I just go a little crazy. But I'm just inspired by art. I just think the color of them, and it's everything. Even all the artists there, just really brilliant. I enjoyed everybody's art there, and it was just so fitting. The young lady next to me had hers was the North Node. And it was so funny because my picture next to hers is my North Node. So it was just like, it was perfect. I was like, this is like perfect that we're right next to each other because this is my North Node, what I'm doing right here. So I appreciate her. I really do.
And we appreciate you. So thank you. All right. So now we're going to hear from Lisa and Barbara.
You want to go first, Lisa?
Me? Okay.
Hey, Lisa.
Hi, I'm Lisa Quinn. As far as my the way I find my materials is a little different than everybody else. I actually repurpose them from the Home Depot. I work with wood, so I buy long dowels, like I guess they're about 4 feet or whatever, or I buy 4x4 or 2x2, and those are like 8 feet long, and I cut them up and paint them. And but the reason I got started was because I wanted artwork for my house, and I really couldn't find anything. So I like very symmetrical things. So I started with squares, and I made the piece, I put it up, and I loved doing it. So I kept doing it, and I love it. So
What made you go from squares to circles?
I had never really seen the circles, and for me that was because I'm so symmetrical and like straight lines. I surprised myself. And I thought it looked at the time more finished than the square ones. And I'd never seen anything like it. So
I love it.
So here's my question. Do you pick a color palette first? Do you pick a size of a dowel first? How do you, what comes first?
I usually, I like Erwin, I find my colors in nature. I love nature. I love the sky. I love the ocean colors. And I love neutrals. I'm sorry, what was the question?
It's okay. Color or size? Which comes
all right.
first?
So sometimes, a lot of times it's color first. Sometimes I'll start doing something and it'll be all wrong, and I'll just completely switch to color. So it's depends. I mean, sometimes I draw it out, sometimes I don't. If I see something, say in a magazine or whatever magazine, and I like the colors combination. I have actually a whole folder of color combinations that I like. And I actually just made something with a complete color combination of something I had taken a picture of. So that was a first where I was exact.
That's great. That's really good. Barbara.
So, what do you want to know, where I find my materials first?
I wanted to know which comes first, the idea or the materials or the, how you.
It depends, because I use a variety of materials that I find. It depends on what it is. For instance, the Palisades mosaic that's there, I actually,
Nice.
Thank you. I had gotten some slate. Chris works in construction, and so I like to go dumpster diving. And I had gotten all this slate, and I was trying to figure out what to do with it. And so I started thinking about the Palisades, and that's how that piece came about. But like the black, white, and red piece, I sort of had the design in mind, and then I found the what do you call it? The PVC pipe from the electricians, I think, and in the dumpster, and so they kind of got added to my design, So it depends. It depends on what I'm doing, sometimes I just take out my materials and lay them out all over the place and then see if they want to be something. Yeah.
That's great. That's I think on some level we all hold on to that, you know, and that there are just sometimes where the pieces just say, all right, this is who I'm going to be. I don't care what you're thinking. This is what's happening next. Do you have a favorite found object story, considering you dumpster dive?
Yeah, I know. I have to laugh when everybody says that they're sort of a hoarder, because Chris told me when he first met me I was just a glass artist, and then I started doing mosaics, and now I've become a hoarder of everything. My favorite, yeah, actually, I got these core drills. So they had the site was drilling. They put in a pool, and then they had to drill for the pipes for the water to come in. And so they had to drill through all this brick and rock. And I got these beautiful, like round core drills that I'm still trying to decide exactly what I'm going to do with them, but I started slicing them and cutting them up. And so we'll see what that comes from.
That's great. And Lisa, where's your best dowel story? Like, what Home Depot blew you away? Or did you go searching for a specific size and had to find it somewhere?
Well, the first time I decided to do the dowels, I saw that there was a variety of sizes, so that got very excited about that. So I mean, there they go up to 2 inches, but they start at very small, probably 1/8 of an inch, maybe even smaller. So I buy, say, 5 sizes. I'll say, okay, I'm only using 5 sizes, and I'll pick 5 different sizes. But I love to, every time I do it, I go and I buy different sizes. So, very exciting.
Dowel hoarder after my own heart. That is perfect. Lisa, any questions?
No questions. But this has been wonderful. And I want to remind everybody to please see the gallery online, see this incredible exhibit, Artistry Repurposed Online, or come and visit us in person at the art gallery at the Rockefeller State Park Preserve. Like I said, we're open every single day from 9:30 to 4:30. And I'll put that information in the chat and the link to the website as well.